Baruch Marzel and Rabbi Shlomo Dov Wolpe have long been known for their efforts on behalf of the land of Israel, and now the two have merged their political parties in order to run for Knesset. Our correspondent Aaron Deutsch spoke with the party's economic advisor and English spokesman, Ilan Hirschfeld.
Shalom to you.
All right, now this is the third time Marzel is running for Knesset. He wasn't successful the first two times. Why will this attempt be different?
I'll take you back in history to Eretz Yisrael. Menachem Begin also ran a few times to become Prime Minister of this country. It took him a long time. And so eventually he made it, and so there's no reason why one can't run 2, 3, 4 times until the people understand what we're all about here. The same happened with Begin.
Now, Ilan, could you tell us, why is Marzel running with Rabbi Wolpe? He's made some very anti-Zionist statements in the past.
They're running together because in the last few years, the Rov, the Talmid Chacham, has done a tremendous amount of work for Eretz Yisrael, Laman Eretz Yisrael, for all Shechvot Shel Eretz Yisrael, and he may have made anti-Zionist comments in the past, but that's not his position today. His position today is very simple. It's Laman Eretz Yisrael Hashlema, as we all know, and as most of us believe that should be the case.
Now, can you tell us, what is your party's plan for dealing with the current economic crisis?
Well, the current economic crisis is a worldwide problem. It's not just a problem of Israel. Israel is in a very fortunate position, is it has no raw materials. When you have no raw materials, you have to rely on other things. And what's Israel got to rely on is its brain power. And that Israel has, and the brain power is working very well. There are new inventions coming out of Israel all the time. And as one knows, the world raw material prices are coming down, so it's easier for Israel to buy stuff cheaper raw materials from everywhere in the world. The problem is not us. The problem is what's happening in the rest of the world. And this will affect us because Israel does make things, produce things, export things. The main thing it exports, though, is brains. The Israeli agriculture, the Israeli medicine, all forms of life, which telephones, everything. But this relies on people making money and other people buying the products. So the problem will eventually hit Israel. I don't believe that the government of Israel is prepared for the situation in any way whatsoever. Their plans are mainly, like everyone else's plans in the world, just to help the rich who've created the problem in the first place. And Israel, and our plan is first of all to see that none of the poor sector of society in Israel, and there are over 1 million people who live below the poverty line in Israel, none of them are affected by the economic downturn, and in fact, hopefully we'll be able to pull them out of their dreadful situation.
Has the Arurtz Shelanu position in regards to Arabs shifted? Does your party still want to force out hostile Arabs?
Stayed essentially the same as it always will do. Very simple. I mean, the dealing with the Arabs, we're not dealing with the Arabs, we're dealing with an international virus. And therefore, it only can get harder and harder and stiffer and stiffer. You see what happened. We have we move out of Gaza, we give it to the Arabs, and what do? Present us with Qassamim and Raketot day and night, every night, and what do we do about it? Nothing. And so, what do you want our plan to differ? If you're talking about our plan vis-a-vis the Arabs living in Gaza, situation is the same. Vis-a-vis living the Arabs who live in Eretz Yisrael, exactly the same. If they want to live here in peace and harmony with us, no problem. Once they start having Hamas rallies and having Chavrei Knesset spying for our enemies, we don't want them here.
Now, there's a general consensus that it's a serious problem of the loss of Jewish values among the nation's youth. How do you intend to address this?
There's only one way, that's through education. Only one way is through education. We have to educate the youth and even the younger people. I mean, when I'm talking younger people, I'm talking people even under the age of 40 who unfortunately never got the opportunity to understand the jewel which they've got, the jewel being Judaism. That is the jewel in the crown. There are people today who go on these trips to India and to heaven knows where to go and look for some guru there. And I know on record that when they get to the top guru, He says to them, where do you come from? He said, well, we want help, we want guidance in our lives, we want something better. He said, well, where do you come from? He said, well, come from Israel. He said, what? You come from Israel to me to find guidance into your life? Here, take a visiting card. And he gives them a visiting card of a rabbi in Iratika. Because that is the way of life. And people don't understand that. We have to teach them that. Not forcibly, we have to explain them to that.
Now, what do you say to those in the national camp who argue that even if Marzel or Rabbi Wolpe would make it into the Knesset, they'd just be banned from politics very quickly?
Why should they be banned? I mean, if we're living in a democracy, I know Netanyahu doesn't understand what democracy is. Well, we can see that by his election finagling with Feiglin and all the other people in his group. I mean, no conception of democracy. Democracy means that everyone has got can say what he wants to say. If the Arabs have a democracy, when anyone opens their mouth, the first thing is get out of here or whatever it is. Why can't we say what we believe in? We believe that Eretz Yisrael belongs to us. If an Arab turns around and says Eretz Yisrael belongs to him, is anyone going to say anything to him? No, they'll clap. If an Arab gets up in the United Nations and says we must wipe out Israel off the face of the earth, what happens? They stand up and give him an ovation. Are we crazy?
Ilan, there have been rumors going around that Eretz Yisrael Shalanu, Hatikva, and possibly a nationalist breakoff from Habayit Yehudi will all join together. How do you respond to this?
Hopefully, this will take place because we want everyone who's Ne'eman Eretz Yisrael, including Uri Ariel, including Eldad, all of them, to join together and form a truly what is known as a right-wing party. It's not a right-wing party. It's a party that believes that Eretz Yisrael belongs to the Jewish people. Not willy-nilly, woofy. It believes b'makor, in its heart, completely and utterly. And that is what we want. We don't want anything else. And obviously, how do you get to that? You then get that by education. Today, more than 50% of children from Kita Aleph are going to have a religious education. That's how the statistics are at the present moment in Israel. So you've got to look at the things in the future. This whole thing is 60 years we've been here. It's not very long. My grandparents came here. You're talking about 100 more years ago. They didn't expect to see what they see here today. Look at the flourishment. Look at the tremendous achievements that have happened here. It's not easy. You have to fight for it. And if you're not prepared to fight, forget it.
Ilan Hirschfeld, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure, and I look forward to your support throughout the campaign.